everything's good. There you go.
Let's say we got the ultimate washout lighting over here.
Yeah. No, that's it. Just
Okay.
do it. Yeah.
Alright, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. We're back again with Hany Rambod, the Pro Creator. We did prejudging yesterday. We did a little recap of that, and tonight we're going to be doing a recap of the finals for the 2023 Arnold Classic. So Hany, let's start with number 10 and work our way back. So what did you think of last place, which was Patrick Moore, and why do you think he landed in that spot?
Obviously, Patrick's got a great physique, but he still needs more legs. So I believe he tore his Achilles from what I heard, and he's coming from an Achilles injury. It's going to take a while for that to heal up. And at the same time, his legs have been a weak point. So he just needs some time to get those legs up. And it's just a matter of making sure that he has that time to be able to get back on stage. He's got a great upper body, but he does need to be able to build up the lower body.
And I felt like he looked pretty blurry. If you go back and look at his 2019 Olympia package, the conditioning that he had there, I don't know if he's ever been back to that level of conditioning since then, and certainly not tonight. It was pretty far off from that conditioning-wise.
No, I agree. I think that he definitely needs to start getting that crispy look back, but it has been a while, so.
So no surprise there, but in 9th place, Kamal, what did you think? What was the reason, do you think, for Kamal placing 9th? Was he just not as sharp as he usually is?
No, I do believe he was a little bit off. I think his body was just a little bit tired.
Do you think age is catching up with him?
No, I think age might be catching up to him a little bit, but I really feel like doing back-to-back shows at his age is also a little bit tiring, and it's cumbersome on your physique, especially because he had so many shows he did last year. So I think his body just needs to rest. I do not know whether or not he's going to get ready for the Masters Olympia, but I do think that that would be a good show for him.
Well, he said in an interview recently he's going to do Tampa and then the Masters Olympia.
I wouldn't
do you think
that.
That's a good call?
No. I think that he should rest his body and then go straight to the Masters Olympia, because the Masters Olympia is not going to be a weak show. I'm sure there's going to be some people. Darren Charles, I heard, might be doing it. There's a couple of other people that are doing it. And I do believe, and this might be breaking news, that they might have lowered the age limit to 40. And that was something that I just saw earlier today. Again, don't quote me 100%, but I did see something, and I believe it said 40.
Well, that could definitely shake things up then.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's pretty interesting. So in 8th place, we had Justin Rodriguez. So Justin has been competing in just about every show he can get into.
Yeah.
And I think his body at this point is just tired, and I think that's what we saw on stage tonight.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people really need to understand that not just because you have a bunch of prize money or it's just logistically really great to be able to do a show back to back, you have to also listen to your body. You can't continue to keep pushing your body sometimes when you've done previous shows and your body just sometimes doesn't respond. It doesn't respond to the diet, it doesn't always respond to the supplements and everything else that you have to do. And quite frankly, I think he just needs a little bit of a break, because when I have seen him on, he looks amazing.
Yeah, I agree. So 6 and 7. This was a kind of surprising placing for me. So 6 and 7 was Bonac and 7, and Akeem cracked the top 6. What do you think the reason was for that? And what went wrong with William Bonac to where Akeem was able to surpass him here?
I think that William is just looking a bit narrow. I think that I got a chance to speak to Chad Nichols' coach downstairs right after the finals, and I don't believe that they really wanted to push his body too hard. I think that they really wanted to be able to just do the best they can to be able to recoup from the Olympia. But I do believe, from what the conversation I had with Chad Nichols, was that they were going to just try to take it as far as they could. But as he announced, he wasn't going to push his body.
Right.
So I think that what he needs to do is decide if he wants to be able to come back and try to put on a little bit more back. It's going to really help his depth. And I feel that as you start to age, some of those types of body parts, when they go away, you tend to lose a little bit of shape. And William, when he's pushing and he's 3D, he looks great. He's won the show before.
Right.
He's done very, very well at the Olympia, top 2 at the Olympia. But he really needs to get that back to get full again, and he needs to get those lats to really pop.
So with Akeem, it was just a couple of years ago that he was first call out at the Olympia. Do you think he's ever going to be back to that form, or do you think this is kind of where he's going to be from now on?
No, I think Akeem can continue to keep. I think he's one of those guys that's just still looking to try to get that.
Figure it out?
Yes. I think he's just trying to still figure out that conditioning versus size. I honestly tonight thought he looked really good. I believe he was, I'm looking at the scorecard now, 30 and 31. So prejudging, he had a 30 and he had a 31 in the night show. And so, again, it was about an 8-point difference between him and William, and then the next placing up, the 5th place, was quite a bit of distance, and that was Shawn Clarida. So I think Akeem looked really, really good. I know Arnold, I believe, mentioned that he liked his back.
He liked his lats.
Yeah, he liked his lats.
And he's kind of got those high inserted lats too, so it's kind of a unique look. Maybe that's what Arnold was talking about.
I think he might have been talking about the fact that he has a very impressive back thickness.
Just, yeah, thickness.
Yeah, but either way, I thought he looked really good. But for him to really be able to go into and break that top 3, he has to just get super separated. And if he can bring in that next level of conditioning, he's got so much mass that you're going to be able to really, really look and appreciate all that size if he has just a bit more separation.
So 5th place, the giant killer, 2-time 212 Mr. Olympia, Shawn Clarida. I think the fact that he was even in that first call out was impressive in and of itself, but what do you think about him taking 5th here? He didn't slay the giant, Big Ramy. So what do you think about his conditioning here compared to how he looked at the Olympia and how he looked compared to Big Ramy?
Well, first of all, props to him placing top 5 in a show like this. That's amazing. Second of all, we're not just talking about a giant. We're talking about a guy that just won the Olympia 2 times. So recently, he was a reigning Mr. Olympia up until a couple of months ago. Now, Shawn, he came in a little heavier. I thought he lost a little bit of sharpness, but I don't think it would have made that much of a difference in the placing if he would have just been a little bit sharper. But irregardless of it, he brought a great package to the show, him and his coach Matt. I think that what really is amazing, that look at all the other guys that he did beat. And he was able to do that at a really stacked Arnold lineup. So again, kudos to him. At 180 some odd pounds, he's able to take out a lot of big boys.
So what do you think for Shawn going forward? Because I think he mentioned trying to qualify for the Open Olympia this year. Do you think he should keep pursuing Open, or do you think he should stay in 212?
No, I think he should stay in 212 and focus. I think that he should really focus on that. I'm not saying if you want to go out and try to go out and win a show, if he's prepping and he wants to try to get, you know, a check here or there, but I would really stay away from any thoughts of trying to do the Open Olympia. I would really just try to just hammer that legacy. He's got 2 Olympia wins under his belt in the 212 division. Try to go for that 3rd. The guys in the 212 division are no joke. Don't mess around with it too much. Don't fry your body. Try to make sure you peak for the Olympia this year.
So Big Ramy in 5th place. I think he looked tighter tonight than he looked last night. What do you think about Big Ramy, and what do you think his chances are between now and the Olympia, because he's doing these stem cells, and I think he looked pretty good here tonight. I think he did improve technically. He was 5th at the Olympia. He was 4th here, so he kind of moved up. So he showed some improvement, and he improved his placing. What do you think about his chances at the Olympia with these new stem cell treatments, and can he improve enough between now and then to
Well, let's look at the placing.
Okay.
So he placed 4th. Clarida was 5th. The judging, Clarida had 24 points, and then when you go back and you look at Big Ramy, I believe he was just about 21 points. So again, it was only a 3-point judging decision on the first night, with giving the lead to Big Ramy, but only 3 points. So 21 points versus 24. Again, for those that you don't know, the lower the points, the higher the score.
just like golf?
That's right. And then so 21, 24, and then in the finals, Big Ramy came in with 20 points, and then Clarida went 25, and that was because we saw a better version versus the first night. So Ramy got better, so he was able to do that. So that put him in a solid 4th place at 41 points with Big Ramy. Shawn Clarida had 49 points, and then the next person up, which is Andrew Jacked, was a whopping 12-point difference, 29 points. So the big difference here between Big Ramy tonight versus last night was that he was drier, he was a little bit more crisp, he had better presentation. I thought his color looked a bit better. I think all around he was a better Big Ramy. But I do think that the judges were just fixated on those top 3 competitors, so they were able to kind of pull away from Shawn Clarida, but I still don't think that he was able to do what we thought he possibly could do, which is go to the top 3. If he had the same package tonight as he had yesterday, then I think he would be battling. I really do. I think that he would have been in the top 2.
I agree.
But because he started off a little bit later, then with the second night peaking, I think he was just trying to keep up in that top 4.
Do you think there's ever a chance he could reclaim that Olympia title?
Anything is possible. You could never ever.
Do you think
say,
it's likely?
Like I said, was it likely that Jay Cutler came back in 2009?
That's a good point.
Right? Everybody thought that he was going to be outside the top 5 in 2009 after he lost to Dexter. They're going to go in a different direction. All of those things.
Right.
Anything is possible.
Right.
But I think the fundamental issues with Big Ramy are a bit different than what Jay Cutler had in 2009. And those are his arms are downsized, his legs look bigger than ever, so they're throwing off the balance between his lower body and his upper body. And I feel that he doesn't have that top conditioning that he did early in the day. And I'm not talking about just when he was Mr. Olympia, but I'm talking about when he was going up against Phil Heath. I'm talking about those years. Those are the best years that Big Ramy was at, you know, the Olympia, where he had that crispness. And if you go back and look at the photos I'm talking about.
Okay, so third place, Andrew Jack. I almost thought both of our predictions were wrong reading the comments. So many people thought Andrew was going to win this show. What do you think about him in third place, and how do you think he compared to Nick Walker and Samson Dauda?
Okay, so you had your top 3, and I had my top 3. You had...
So I had Nick, Samson, and Andrew.
Right.
1, 2, 3.
And I had what?
You had Samson. Did you have Nick in second?
I said, yeah, they're battling it out. I think Nick was a little bit ahead, I believe I said. I think they were battling it out.
So yes, Hany was right. I was wrong.
There you go. Even though everyone thought that you were trying to convince me to change my prediction. But the assessment was that I felt that Samson was the most complete. So when you look at Andrew Jack, what I felt like he was lacking in a little bit of that thickness, I felt like it got even worse tonight. I think he just flattened out a little bit more. It also made him just a tad bit watery because of how much he flattened out. And that might have been a lack of fullness, or it might have been just a little bit of just water manipulation gone wrong. So it could have been the water manipulation gone wrong, or it could have been just like I said, he could have been flat. I mean, what did you think when you saw him tonight?
I thought he looked significantly improved still from the Olympia. I thought he still looked pretty good, and I think just overall, I was comparing him to how he looked at the Olympia, and I just thought this was a great package for him.
But do you think that he was better tonight, or do you think he was better last night, or do you think he was the same?
I liked him better last night.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he had a really good package of fullness and dryness, and then tonight I felt like he just got a little thin in those weaker body parts. Just, again, maybe a little bit due to some flatness, but all in all, better than he's ever been. I think that he was better at the Arnold than he was at any of the other shows that I saw him in. So congrats to him and his team on that.
Absolutely. So second place, Nick Walker, which was my pick to win. Obviously, Nick was significantly leaner, and I think a little bit flatter, a lot flatter tonight especially, than he usually is. And my question to you would be, do you think if Nick looked the same as he looked at the Olympia, would he still have lost this show? If he was fuller?
That's hard to say because the lighting is completely different. But I do think if you put me right on the spot, I would say he would have won the show.
Because I think it comes down to that flatness. I think that's what cost him the show.
Yeah, I do too. I think that if he would have just looked exactly the same, even if he was just a little tighter, but he wasn't super flat, he would have won. My thing, and when I say flat, I really, if you look at the photos, and again, or you were watching it on the pay-per-view or the person, he just wasn't super crisp, and he just seemed like he had just a little glaze of water, and that water was just from flatness. You could just tell that in his legs he had lost some of that volume. I heard from someone, I don't know how accurate this is, that he might have been anywhere from 6 to 8 pounds lighter than the Olympia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so if that is the case,
that's pretty significant.
It is significant because he was already lean at the Olympia. So, and it looked like some of that, or I should say most of that might have come from his legs. And that fullness through that outer sweep is really, really important on a frame like his.
So do you think he was the leanest guy in this lineup?
I think he was definitely one of the leanest guys in the lineup, if not the leanest guy, but I don't know if that actually helped him. Because again, it took away from some of his shape, especially his lower body.
And some of the things that you pointed out to me last night when I was backstage, I was watching it with Phil actually, the final comparisons of Nick and Samson. And I told Phil, I was like, yesterday I picked Nick to win, and tonight looking at this with the lens of some of the stuff that Hany mentioned last night, I can see why Nick's not going to win this show. And I said, I'm changing my pick, and Samson's going to win this thing. Hany was 100% right, and Phil said, I know.
That's funny. But all in all, what it really comes down to is Samson has a very balanced physique.
He does.
So it's not he's not the hardest guy, and he's not a guy that turns around and has crazy body parts. I think that Andrew Jack has got some knockout shots. I really do. He's got crazy shoulders. He's got the really striated chest. He's got the quads that are striated. But I think where he loses some momentum in the judging is when he goes to the side and when he goes to the back poses. You have somebody like Nick Walker, who's more of, we call him the mutant because he looks like a mutant, but he looked less of a mutant, so therefore he lost that superpower. And now you have somebody who got harder than he was when he was 6th at the Olympia.
Yeah.
And then he got his best shape ever with all that crazy size at 296 pounds. And I think that that's what drew a lot of people's eyes, including mine and the judges, to him, because he had that roundness.
You know, it's funny you say that about Andrew's side shots. That's exactly what Phil said about his side chest. It was a very weak pose for him. Well, great minds think alike.
There you go. Phil's not a half bad bodybuilder. Good job, Phil. But all in all, it was a great show. I thought that everybody did an amazing job, especially somebody who had gone another 9 weeks. These guys had to just sit there and diet and still do their cardio, train, and make sure not to lose momentum. And at first, it looked like a really weak lineup. And then all of a sudden, you turn around,
Well, it's funny because before Nick and Ramy were announced, Samson was the favorite to win this thing. He was the highest Olympia placer before those two were announced, and everyone was talking about Samson, and then it was Nick and Ramy.
or it was even Shawn. Some people said it could have been Shawn,
Yeah.
right? But then all of a sudden, you had Nick, you had Ramy. Everybody, it started becoming more of a stacked lineup.
Right, so obviously Samson was a lot better than he was at the Olympia, but what would you say was the biggest difference between his Olympia package and now? I think he was a lot drier, was the biggest thing.
He was a lot drier. And let's talk about the judging. So he had straight first on Friday night, and he had straight first on Saturday night. So the judges had him clearly
100%
in prejudging as well as the finals. When it came to Nick Walker, I believe he had 11 points, so just above straight seconds for the first night, and then he had straight seconds for the second night, which is 10 points. So they had him in solid second place on the evening show. So Samson, when he came out, they were so impressed that they just said this was clear cut.
Right.
They said that was clear cut for them. And this is the first night as well as the second night. And he didn't go backwards, because I also said during our podcast slash video that we did yesterday, what we talked about was the fact that if people end up making mistakes, you have athletes or coaches that make mistakes by giving them too much sodium or too much water or not enough of any of those things, you have to turn around and be able to peak twice, because now the Arnold is just like the Olympia. You have 2 days that you're going to get judged, 50% on Friday and 50% on Saturday.
Right?
Yeah, so I think it was a great show. What'd you think?
I thought it was an awesome show. I think Brian Powers did a great job.
Well, I think it was a great show, but Brian Powers really had little or nothing to do with it. But it's okay. I think that adding in that extra prize money was Arnold. So again, Arnold, thank you so much for the extra prize money. He did that. And on that note,
I think that's a good segue to bring in a special guest.
yes, you know what? We have somebody sitting by, because I think he had a little bit to do with the extra prize money. I'm going to take a little bit of Q&A from our little guy here.
Okay.
Let's see. We got to make a little bit of room. Let's bring in the little man. Come on. These impromptu videos are awesome, because we just had somebody walk in that has a little bit that we want to talk to him about. You might have heard of him.
Happy to be here.
You want to give him a little intro? Give him in that Nick Power guy.
So this is Derek Lunsford, your Olympia runner-up in men's open bodybuilding and your 212 Olympia champion from last year. Well,
Yes.
2021.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks for having me, guys. So what's the Q&A?
So basically, I just want to know, when you saw everybody up there, what were you thinking?
Well, I was just motivated, man. And it takes me back to just being a fan. I get to sit back and watch these guys as a fan as well. And so it was really cool to see those top 3 guys battling it out. And as you guys were speaking before, 4th and 5th being Ramy and Clarida, I thought that was pretty entertaining too. But like I said, again, super motivated, super hungry to get back in the gym and make those improvements for this year's Olympia.
Yeah, you know what he told me when he saw these guys come out? He's like, I can't wait to get my ass back in the gym.
I know, that's right.
So literally, when did you go to the gym? This morning?
This morning.
Yeah, so he literally got up this morning, went to the gym. What did you think about the top 3? Tell me what you think. Did you have Samson as the winner?
I did. I actually did. Well, I had him as the winner after prejudging. I did another interview earlier today, and I said the same thing. If I had to pick one guy, it was going to be Samson, because I felt that he was the most balanced, most complete physique on stage this weekend. So yeah, I did, and I think the judges got it right. I think having Nick in second, I think that was a deserving second, and then Andrew in third. I think they got it exactly right. For sure.
Yeah, what did you think about Andrew now versus before?
Definitely better since the Olympia. You could tell that his new coaches, new team, they definitely they're on the right path to making those improvements that he needs to keep moving up.
Yeah, dialing in.
Yeah, he surpassed Ramy from the Olympia just
Yeah.
a couple months ago. So on the right track, that's for sure. Yeah.
So I know we got both a question for him.
Oh,
What did
man.
you think? Did you think you could win the show?
I did. I do believe that if I would have put my name in the hat, I would have been, I would have had a great shot at, at winning the show for sure.
Any regrets?
No, absolutely not. I am happy that I did take this time to, make improvements and let my body rest over the last couple weeks. So that way now we can really push for a good off season to make, like I said, the improvements that we need, and we know what those are. And I'm psyched up more now than ever.
Oh,
Well, I am
No
curious,
regrets.
if you could pinpoint any one reason specifically why you didn't do this show, what would you say the number one reason would be?
I want to be Mr. Olympia, and I know that giving myself 2 more months to improve is going to give me a more dominant package come November. 100%.
Fair
That's the
enough.
reason.
Fair enough.
Amongst other reasons too, of course. I get to spend a little extra time with the wife. Other. We have other business things that we do too as well. So
Okay.
that, and as well as not just getting healthy, but remaining healthy
Right.
is very important. So, yep, all those reasons. But I want to be Mr. Olympia.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think you got a very good shot at doing that.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Derek Lunsford, Nick Power Guy, Hany Rambod, and that's the truth.
Signing out.
All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.